Okay, this is one of those days. I think my energy is affecting my technology, right? No, I don't. I want to welcome everyone to another edition of Channel for the Soul Live. It is one of those days that's been rock and roll for me, right? No, I was literally hearing, the guides come through and, tell me a little joke. This is part of it where I'm going to take some time to kind of laugh because people know I've had issues the last couple of days over these sessions and I am not sure what is going on. It is so strange. Is it Mercury retrograde? No. Anyways, I'm still producing another video that will be released soon, and I want to give a shout out to all the souls that are waiting for what we're going to be talking about tonight, right? Or who's going to be coming through. Well, I tend to want to just leave it up to the guides, and in essence, it's been kind of a heavyish kind of day for me. And I get sometimes taken aback by some of the comments that I'm receiving from some of the people about how I am in this world. So some people are very interested in the idea of channeling and how it is I go about doing that. Now, in essence, that's the nature of soul embodiment that is more of a guidance system for myself, right? Absolutely not. It is part of the process of being able to do the channeling without hearing as much of the destructive visions that others say that they hear. I get my butt handed to me sometimes when I forget that my own soul is just bringing through visions of what others are putting out there, okay? It's not the easiest process, people, okay? But anyways, I want to welcome the soul of God, help us, right? There's a person there that's saying, oh my gosh, she's having a problem with her channeling or her soul embodiment. No, I'm not. I'm not having a problem with that. I don't know if I've got an issue going on with my video. I hope not. But if it is, then, I'll just do it again. I'm not going to give up because this stuff is weird. I just tested it literally like a half hour ago. There is not necessarily going to be an immediate soul coming in. And that's what people are kind of starting to figure out. There's an aspect of who I am that loves to just be surprised by the names of the celebrities that I'm going to be bringing through in the future, right? I bring through visions of their soul in the moment. So when I hear those visions of love, for a certain soul, I understand that it might not be someone that others would be interested in, but there's usually a very good reason for it, okay? And I want to remind everyone that often these visions are still under that umbrella of guidance for the soul, okay? It's like the channeling is an aspect of who I am. And I was given that title by my soul years ago. So I still am the beloved soul that loves that vision of it because it's more fun, right? Not even close. You want to go down soul embodiment if you can. That is the process that most people will aim for. And that's what the video is about for the most part, that I'm going to be releasing maybe tonight, if not tomorrow. It won't be this one, but it's one that I did previously. Some people may have actually caught it. I put it on private pretty fast because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get to all the editing and all that stuff. Now, I want to apologize to those that are like, let's get going. I don't have all day. I'm not here to do the speed demon type of sessions. That's a vision of what others will say must be inhabiting my body if I bring through those visions that aren't of the highest caliber. But yet, if you actually understood the nature of soul embodiment, you would understand the nature of heavenly souls that come here to invoke their name, right? I invoke the name of Archangel Michael for my beautiful friend who I love more than anything in the world. But I didn't do the vision of healing like I thought I was going to do. But in essence, I realized my guides already knew that that vision was coming through for you. Okay? So, it's not always of religion or of faith in that, organized religion kind of sense, or spirituality, because the angels are of all. So we all have to be comfortable with the visions that may or may not come through. It may not be for you, and you might be looking, and I don't know if you can see how many other people are on the screen or not at this point, but I'm also casting to YouTube, okay? And these visions are very strong. People go, oh, okay. So you see, sometimes the visions are for those who will watch in the future. That's how strong it is. I do get the future handed to me, and it's pretty cool when it happens, and I catch the smallest little details sometimes. And sometimes they're the funny stuff. And sometimes they're, not so funny. But the majority of the time, it's like the little things that make a big difference for me. It's just kind of keeping me, in touch with my soul and that psychic kind of vision. Me hearing about what's coming up in my life is not necessarily the same thing as having the guidance that tells you how to go down the path. A channel can indeed do that vision for you. It's not all there is. It's all lumped into many different kinds of categories. Psychic vision is not the same as me seeing. I don't see the visions necessarily played out. I was starting to at one point. For me, it tends to be easier if I hear the visions because I have dialogues with guides. Okay, I'm not just getting flashes. Sometimes I do. That's literally, sometimes they just give me a little flash. And I don't check in and say, what do you mean? Jockstrap. Okay, so sometimes I get a little random. I'm going to let people know for the sake of those that might be interested in, this process. And it's not that it's a beginner, right? It is a vision of joy. Okay, and so then, I got that, vision, and I always call it a vision. It's not literally a vision, but it is a vision of events happening, right? Where the message, let's just put it that way, I got the message that about a jockstrap, and I was like, I have no idea what that's about, but I went on, on with my day. And then today, the mother of one of my best friends posted a video, and sure enough, there was this man who was using a jockstrap as a mask, okay? And it was all in jest, of course, okay? And so that's the beauty of those visions for me, because I got a laugh, a chuckle out of it, and I try to find the happy things in my life. And that's one thing I really want to reinforce. Try to find the happiness in the little things in life, people. We're going down that path of pandemic, right? That's what people keep expecting. Is Brenda going to go down that serious stuff because I don't want to talk about it anymore? I'm done. If you're in the vision of psychic, and I want you to put yourself in my position, would you want to deny the vision of health for the family members? I'm doing that, and that's what I want to say. Those visions of love have been passed along to the family members, friends. I've got people on here I don't know that I want to say thank you for your your session, right? Someone's saying, I want your session, but it's too damn expensive. I have always let people know, if you cannot afford it for whatever reason, I will work with you. I will let you do, the let's make a deal kind of deal. I'm not going to give away free sessions for the most part, because it is about respecting my vision of being in business. Okay? But if you have been, laid off and you need some help, or you are in critical need of something, please just let me know. Okay? And because I do hear some of those visions, and I'm wondering, why aren't you reaching out to me? Trust me, your soul will know if you need a free session, and I will get the vision, whether or not that's actually true, believe it or not. Most people think I'm full of baloney when I say, if I need to know something, I get that. And that's the nature of soul embodiment, where you bring your soul in. Now let's invite Janet Jackson's vision into this session. Okay? How many people know her family's been torn apart by the rumors of her soul, right? She's being put through the rumor mill at this point in time based on the vision of someone else's ideas of who they think she is, based on her family tree and her guide. So there's going to be a vision of Janet Jackson, and it is strong, that is going to come through and say, I cannot bring forth the vision of someone that she is related to, right? Her father? Her father would have come through for her in a heartbeat. But I'm not denying the vision of mediumship. So people want to know, what's the difference between what Brenda's doing? Because it sounds like it's a medium. I'm actually going to a higher level understanding of who those viewers are. People are going to crap when they start to understand the difference between channeling and mediumship. Mediumship, you don't have to necessarily bring in their information either. I don't, but it's because I'm embodied by my own soul. Okay, and I'm always in that vision of, I am reaching through it's like a dimensional awareness of who I am and who they are. So I always go out to those highest visions of love, so I don't have to bring forth the visions of, oh, they're always there with me. I don't carry the energy with me when I leave the session. Sometimes I still hear their visions. I'm not going to deny that vision, okay? Because I'm connecting to all, and I also sometimes reach out in support, but they have their own visions of who they are creating with. Now, if I was to go to the vision, someone would say, well, if you were doing the exact translation of Janet Jackson's The Funeral vision for her dad was pleasantly surprising. Her father is going to come through, right? Is that a demeaning of her soul? It's still part of the vision of the higher vision of Michael, right? Do they create on the same plane of existence, considering they no longer interact with each other even on the other side, right? They absolutely are. They are in the vision of love, even though that relationship was very much mishandled. It was a mishandled guide, right? I didn't touch the souls that often, people. That's his vision. And I'm going to give you the strength of a channel that will start to embody the vision. I am still visioning that soul as my own. I don't have to deal the vision of love outside of anger, right? So everyone would expect that soul to have been of anger, right? Well, no, of course not. They went to their visions of love. Okay, and that's the nature. They rise above the vision of victim mindset for the most part, not always. And so that's where people can get a little hurt in their hearts when they hear the visions of strength from other sorts of visions, because they think, well, that sounds like who they were here. Most of them do not. We honor those visions of love that come through and say, I hurt my children too much. I was too strict, I was too strong, and I was a son of a gun. Okay, we're going to keep the language a little easy in case others are, watching. Now, his vision was stronger than the majority of the people around him. He says, I had to be the strong one. My family was not going to get the respect that they were due. We put in the time, effort, and the money to get to where we are, right? That family is still in that vision of we are still strong in the vision of Michael. And his vision says, I was denied the beauty of the relationships of my family because of who I was. I was the caretaker of the family and I made sure we made it to the top. He is being denied the love by his son, in essence, by his whole family, right? Not exactly. God help, this is the God help America soul again. So that's his vision. We're on this planet beating the drumbeat of America, and yet we acknowledge these beautiful visions of visionaries, right? The musicians of the world that we love so much, but yet if they were walking down the street, they would have been spit on. That's another vision. Hello? Are you ready to go down that vision of love for Michael Jackson and his family? This is for Janet. Her vision is, I can't get out of the vision of my family's, it's like the horror stories that she has to hear. Right? She's going through that vision of horror with her family tree. There can be problems in a family tree, and then there can be the horror of it. When you start to heal from the family tree, you can then sometimes come to a place of peace in your heart. And his vision was, I'm still outreaching to my hearts. So it's like in another plane of awareness, they're all still creating a beautiful vision of love, but not in the same way that we do here. Our souls do create with other souls, and our family trees are often part of the mix, but we do go on to do other sorts of visions. Now, Janet Jackson is also Kentucky. It's like Kentucky. She's Kentucky? In Kentucky? Or there's someone here that's trying to get into Kentucky. It's, wow. That's the vision. And if she's in Kentucky, then we've got that's the family tree's vision. There's someone there in Kentucky, or it's a word that is very strong. So sometimes there's a vision of contention. I don't know what it is. And that vision will come through very strong. Release the vision of love. Bend over backwards for the guides of love, and they come through for you. So I'm not going to go to the nature of how many people want to hear about his vision for his manhood. He said, I was the man of the family. The guides know my name. I won't be denied my vision of love. I'm not the bully anymore. That's what he's saying. I was a bully, and I took off the glasses. And I said, I am not going to do that vision. I'm not going to be here to take on the vision of those souls who would deem themselves to be, what? The heartbreak souls? I bent their will to mine, is what he's saying. And I made sure they knew it. I made sure that they knew exactly who they were and how they got where they were. And there was no denying that my influence was highly regarded by the majority of them, if they could only think back to where they were when they were 16 and 17, and then say, yeah, I think my back was broken when my dad beat me with a stick. Okay. Now that's going to hit home for some people, right? I, as Brenda, have no idea what kind of vision that was. And I'm honoring all souls who've ever had to experience they will call it a beautiful vision. He's coming through strong because he wants people to know how strong his vision was. He's not trying to repeat that vision to bring it back for them to heal from. But it is one of those things that we do have to heal from. We have to heal from those abusive relationships, those visions of hell, right? That's where others would say he had to create that vision. He was in the mindset of faith, but he sure as heck didn't embody that vision of it. Others will use it as a scape. It's not a scapegoat, but in essence, they will use that safety net that allows them to then just assume I will always be in the highest vibrations no matter what I do on this plane. And we're here to rock your boat. It's to rock your world. Those of you that truly believe will absolutely vibrate up past the vision of hellish realms. What you will not do is you will not be able just to bypass the vision of I don't have to take responsibility for anything that I've done on this plane of existence. What does that mean? It means we create with our love. That's the nature of those souls. So in essence, the majority of souls are strong enough in their vibration of love for the female family members. He said, I had a hard time with the females in my family. They took the brunt of it in many ways. And he's acknowledging the view that women are being treated and mistreated in this vision. It's like the brunt of the hellish realms that other people are trying to create. This one deals with it for you. And she's starting to say, I'm done with it. I'm done trying to play the mind games with other people in my family tree. Sometimes I have to hear from it. Okay, or certain people that I've had to let go. I get the guidance that says it's time to let certain people go. Now his vision was, thank you very much for calling me in, and I want to honor your vision. He's of strength. I can feel the strength of that soul. That's my soul bringing me that vision of it. That's the same thing as, it's a different vibration, but it's still very strong in essence. I don't have to feel it's like I'm not in that vision of having to heal from their visions. My soul is with me in this moment, guiding me through this vision of love. Now, hallelujah, right? How many people say, finally, someone who's got it figured out? I'm telling you, it's not easy. Now, there are beautiful, beautiful guides who will claim that they do all kinds of stuff. Please don't deny them their beauty, even if they say they're a channel or they've embodied their soul, or they're just, hey, this is who I am. That's the nature of me. I'm not going to come out and say I am a spiritual counselor. I will say I'm a spiritual guide. The channeling aspect is one in which you will start to understand the nature of guides comes in different forms. When I look at someone out on the street, are they a guide for me? It depends. What are they showing me? Are they showing me something about myself? It can be. We've gone through this a little bit, but we're going to repeat a little bit of the process. If I'm seeing something that I'm not happy with, does that mean that that's who I am? In essence, you go to those highest visions of, religion or of spiritual mindset, you're going to be stuck with those people as part of you, right? We've had several people who've asked, do I have to create with everybody? It's not in the way that you think. You don't have to interact. You don't have to hold hands. You don't have to like everybody. You don't have to shake hands anymore. We're going to talk about that vision of pandemic. I don't want you to be afraid, Janet. It's going to be all right. Everybody I know has a film about a person who they honor with the dignity of a lesson in learning your lesson. When I went to a certain family member and said, your names came out in a session, it was because I heard another message from another soul of someone in our family that came to me while I was exercising, of all things, and said, Brenda, how could you not tell them because I was not going to tell them. I set myself up in that moment with oh my gosh, I have another soul who is now involved in this vision saying, Brenda, how could you not do it? And that made me feel like if I don't do it, then how do I know what that vision is of future? Okay? It's not to hurt anybody. I had to make a decision. Do I say something or do I not? The guides would say there's another Janet vision that it's the Father that wants to come through. Hellraisers, right? That's what they call themselves. We were the Hellraisers in Brenda's vision. I had to deal with the father figure of someone else who is trying to get me to honor my own dad. And my dad, I love more than anything, but people don't know what I went through when I went through the process with a shaman. It had nothing to do with my dad. And it comes back to haunt, right? So people are going to say, oh man, that must have been not good. Let me tell you, that's why, in essence, you want to start off with the light visions of love. So some people will say, well, Brenda, you brought through a vision for Janet Jackson of a man that she doesn't want to necessarily deal with, right? The love is still there. Okay, we honor our family members in that tree. That's the conditioning of most. Most people will assume that everyone in your family tree is sitting there waiting for you on the other side. That is not always the case. They do create with you. Some will move on. Do you vibrate in the vision of my whole family loves me? My whole family treats me beautifully? And what? We all sit together and, perform miracles for other female family members? I'm trying to tell you that it's the beauty of channeling that allowed me to open up to the nature of other realms. Okay, so that's the kind of stuff where I might be getting Janet Jackson's vision versus the guides of universal wisdom, right? I can get them no matter what. I'm dialed in, I'm tapped in, so it doesn't really matter at this point. And that's why, that title, Channel for the Soul, it's still valid and it's still beautiful and it's still like romanticism unwound. I had to go through that vision of reminding myself that I'm dealing with other souls, right? How many people are thinking there's a romanticism to a channel and her soul, right? Am I channeling my soul or am I embodying my soul? My soul's embodied, so I don't have to really go out. I go within, okay, and I bring it out. That's the difference. Channeling is just, it's an older term used for guidance, to be honest. Now, for those of you who say they want more vision of Janet Jackson's vision of what her reaction would be when she decides whether or not she's actually going to partake in a session with me, this is another future vision for me. But it's also very much of love. For those who are very much in the mindset of, I don't always want to hear from those souls, right? Do I want to hear from the vision of the journey soul? Journey's coming through for someone, they love journey. I get told my soulmate's still with me in my heart because of a song that's related to that. Now, in essence, it hurts me sometimes, okay? I have to go through certain ideas, and people that have watched this know there's a dynamic that's unwinding in me, right? I do a lot of those, let's unwind the mindset of what we've created. So how many people would say, I want to know more about the vision of how to do soul embodiment, but I don't want to go to one of those special sessions yet. I haven't created them. But it will be more in alignment where, those who want to do that vision, I can actually let you know whether you are ready for it. It's not for me to determine, but your soul would be able to say, you're ready. And the person that is going to watch one of those videos, if she hasn't already, will be told she's ready to go down that path. And it's because of the nature of her own vibration is so high, and yet she thinks she's not. That's the vision that most don't understand. So many people are assuming that in order to do this work, whether it is of channeling or of guidance or soul embodiment, that you have to be like free and clear of all mindsets, all visions, all like heavenly realms, all Jesus souls. It's all connected. Okay? What I had to do for soul embodiment is a much different vision than what someone else would choose to do for soul embodiment. So others are choosing to reach out to those visions of love from their hearts, right? Others will say they're going to go travel the dimensions on the astral plane, meet up with their soulmates on other visions. That's a whole nother story, people. And people get a little freaked out by it. But it's not about trying to scare people or say it's freaky deaky, but it is kind of freaky deaky. Okay, I had no idea what the heck was going on. I decided to go out on my own. I knew this is the whole kind of rock your world kind of soul. The channel for the soul would say, let's all sit in this place of comfort. Let's earn a living, right? How much do you charge to bring through the family and friends of Janet Jackson? How many years does it take for her family to come through? How many years does it take for her dad to come through and say, I want her to come to the soul level understanding as soon as possible? Pardon me, ma'am, but your vision is interrupting mine. Guaranteed the man would have been ejected, right? Brenda's starting to understand. Hallelujah. I don't need to be told. The vision is of respect. He sat back and he said, I was letting her do her show. This is her show, and she has the honor of bringing through my love for my family. Whether they accept it or not is a whole nother story. Grand entrance. Hallelujah, Michael. Don't ever let a man walk all over you. Don't ever let a woman tell you that they love you and then they set you free. He said, I was the one that was setting other souls free, and I held on to one in my heart. I held on to her too long. I let her go. We all create that vision of love. Michael is only going to come through for 2 or 3 years. He says, I'll be there, was his hit. And people know that vision very well. My father doesn't deserve the soul of love if he disrespects the vision of loving our hearts gently. He still had that vision in his mind. At some point, I am going to come through for my sister. I'd call her Sissy. Sissy is also here for another family member. I connect with Michael Jackson, who is also connected to my heart, right? The music binds us together visually. MBA stars also want to come through. Curtail your enthusiasm for the strength of celebrity soul search, right? How many people need to know what Michael Jackson would say about that vision of I'll Be There. It's his hit. It was an early hit with him and his family. But in essence, he knows I was the one to do the work on that vision. I made it the hit. That's what his soul would have said here. But in essence, he's acknowledging the family dynamics and saying that we struggled in our minds and hearts so much when we were children, but we stuck it out together and we never looked back. We tried not to, he said, but we should have done the work. We do the work when we do the work. He says, I will kill my father. That's what he thought he was going to have to do, in essence, to get rid of that vision of his hellish realm in his mind. He was sending him to that vision in essence, but without the vision of love from his family tree who lifted him up. He said, my father was there with me, loving me gently. But his energy is very open-ended, and he's like an honest man. He tells it like it is, except he lied about how bad it was for us. We had to then do those documentaries about our hearts and the tell-all books. And it releases a lot of the pain when we are able to tell the story like it is. God help America, people. These visions of beauty come through and say, we're in the racial riots. Why would we not be? We were there before. Why are we so condemning of the souls who are saying, I'm tired of putting up with this vision of division? Right? Let them speak out against the slavery of our souls as well, right? We create beauty for you, and you can't even acknowledge our strengths in this world to lift you up and to raise your spirits in the vision of mind. That's the vision. I lift you up in your music, right? In your mind. And you love our hearts, but then you put these visions of less than on our hearts. We do the double duty. We lift you up, and we also make you feel special. So how many people know that that vision is also, it's like the derailing of the guide. You would say Michael Jackson can't say shit to Dan, right? That's another vision, right? There's someone else there that says, oh my gosh, there's some confrontation. It's not. It's about the nature of protest and how people are angry about the vision of protest. And of course we understand the vision. It's okay. He's saying it's okay, go for it, honey. I have a white woman who loves my music, hates my vision of what I might or might not have done. I'm not going to talk about the nature of certain things I could come through. About why she didn't go out during pandemic to protest. He acknowledges that vision of, I'm here to do the service in a different way. I will get blamed by certain people in society who say I should have been out protesting and raising up the planetary alignments, right? They say she knows how to do the vibration of revolt without actually hurting other people. Now, if you get triggered in your mind, that's a little bit different. How many people can honor that vision of saying, yeah, I listen to the music, I love the music, but yet when the people are crying out in pain in the street saying we have to experience things that other people don't, we then deride them for their, ability to actually speak out against it. And this isn't about lecturing people, but it's about honoring their visions of what they created here. We weren't honored. We still create with them. When we listen to the music of Michael Jackson or Janet or Andre, there's another vision. So that's another vision for me. They would say, yeah, that vision was one of the first visions in my family as a guide that openly accepted the vision of diversity. Whereas other people that I know, in essence, are still struggled with the idea of how limited our diversity is in many neighborhoods, right? Now, so in essence, I want to, it's getting a little hot. The vision of Michael has been deemed irresponsible in his behavior, completely disregarded as worthy of the attention of many, unhealthy in his acts of violence against his own soul. In essence, he beat himself up so much for many of the things that he actually did. And others are going to say this is a dishonoring of those souls who claim that they, had issues. And we are putting that gently. And so in essence, the vision is that we all have our own scars that we have to heal. And in his vision, he said, I'm doing my best with my friends and family too. So he's creating that visions of those visions of love to be of a healing nature for all. So he's in that vision of I'm trying to heal my own heart too. We all have those visions of I was hurt or I was pained by something someone said or did. He said, you know nothing of my life. Please don't judge me unless you know the whole story. 2 people in my life know who I am. That's the vision of Brenda. 2 people know who she is for the most part. There are 3 who could, and 10 or 12 that think they know who she is. When you know the vision of a guide who says, I understand that people are going to revolt against her because she didn't ask permission to send this vision to somebody else. She does not send out the visions. Okay. She doesn't go knocking on other people's doors, so to speak, saying, hey, do you want to hear this vision? Okay. So if those people happen to hear their loved ones' visions, we want to say thank you for that vision. That was my father-in-law. Okay, so I was honored by my father-in-law. And he knows and sees the pain that I've had to go through, for various things. This is the family that I love in so many ways because they opened me up and opened my eyes to the nature of the beauty of diversity and appreciation for so many cultures. And we did it through going out to eat, for the most part, and trying this, the strange and unique visions of love. And then it was like it opens up a whole new beauty for who we are. Now, in essence, it doesn't mean I'm the most, wise woman, that there is. People are going to start to pay attention to the nature of Sharon Stone. She was brought through in another session. Her vision was coming through strong, and it has been deemed that she is indeed important person on the left wing. And that is part of the session that I will be releasing. Now, in essence, I was told, you don't need to look her up, honey. And of course I did. And then just today, as I went back through the session, I'm not even done with it yet. And, and then I find out that she's being looked at least, I didn't even look at the article, I just looked at the little headline for part of the transition team for Biden. And that explains why I was hearing that vision, part of it. But she will be part of this vision. It's not because of my own political ideology. There is an essence there about those of us who are blonde that don't get taken seriously, okay? Now, let's hold on a second. This is the nature of conditioning about how we look. Can I change my hair? Yes, I can. Can he change the color of his skin? No, he cannot. It is no different, though, when people look at someone and make a preconceived notion, place it on somebody else, and say, now I'm going to apply this vision to everything I see in the world. Do you have a turban on your head? Right? What do we think about those people? Do we make assumptions about where they're from, what their faith is, what kind of people they are, what they look like, somehow determines how we're supposed to treat them? Or do we look at them and say, thank you so much for the fact that we are living in a very diverse place? The more diversity I see, the happier we will be. Because in essence, that's part of the vision of multicultural. It's like divinity. That's the divinity that we're talking about, people. Don't deny the divinity of any race or culture. That's the nature of our hearts. Now that's the beauty of God, right? It's of all. So whatever vision you create with, I create with Source, but I understand there's a reason. And if you want to know my story, you would understand why I say that, because I'm not limiting myself to any one vision of what God is or isn't, nor of those that create with the vision of Goddess, or, Buddha, or, higher power, or whatever. It's very diverse, and you find that out very much so when you go into the spiritual paradigms. Okay, so there's a lot of different people creating with different visions of what their highest, source is. Now, I want to take us on a little ride to the Reading Railroad. The Reading Railroad was a guide. I am telling someone that they need to read the book Parenting of Love. So I want to honor those visions of those souls who still read books to their children. Okay. I am the mother of 2 children, and it is not going to be easy to say this, but they are teenagers, and they are still being read to by their dad, okay? And that's getting acknowledged from his soul, because in essence, he reads to them higher level visions of works of art, and they get exposed to the cultures in many different ways as well. And so that's the thing. It's like the visions can sometimes be intermixed. I don't get that many. I wasn't letting those visions come to me today, because it was like I was like, in the mode of defense, and that's another episode. Okay. So I want to go ahead and wind this down. I'm trying to keep these a little. Well, I could go higher. Hearts a mingle in the 5th dimension. I will be honoring your souls. Those of you that think you're going to come to me in my dreams, right? How many people then would be worried? Oh my gosh, which dreams do I create with? Which ones are real? When I am embodied in my soul, I actually have my guide who lets me view the visions that are going to be bringing me happiness. And those where I create the not so great things, I will get every once in a while, so that I can see where I'm at. Okay, so it's a different vision. You don't have to think that every dream is real, or that you see it, or that you create it. It takes power to do that vision. Okay? And people are thinking power. It takes power. You got to call on some inner strength to embody your soul. And to then be able to identify the vision of love when you do go out into the vision of 5th dimension. That's the heavenly realms in some people's eyes, but it's more like just, behind the veil. It's another dimension. It's another vibration. It can be called many things. We create many realms within the dimensions. So it's not just one place where everyone's hanging out on the same plane. It's another plane of existence in essence, and you can create visions with your loved ones there. It's a beautiful place. It's honoring of our hearts, and we have the ability to say, Amen, right? Some people are like, okay, now I'm starting to understand. It's not accessed in the dream state for the most part. It can be, but really, in essence, most of the work is done when you go into that vision of let me lighten my load, or let me lift myself up to the vibration of love for all souls. And that's where it gets beautiful. Like beautiful. And you don't want to leave it. That's how they always say you don't want to leave the fifth dimension, but there's problems with it. A lot of people are creating a lot of stuff. It's not a problem. It's just one day you get to have your hearts, and you get to feel that vision of love that others are just craving, right? Don't rush it. Don't rush it. There's no need to rush the beauty of love. Fortunately for me, I've got a ticker in my heart. Someone's got a ticker in their heart. And that means I get to have my heart read. So I'm going to say, I love you all very much. I want you all to have a fabulous Thanksgiving. Keep your hearts in the mindset of love as you stay indoors, right? As you just stay safe, whatever you choose to do. We're not going down this path of judgment. We want you to be honoring of the soul of love as I bring through the guidance from, it's Michael's soul. Breathe deep and fill your airs with lung. Right? That was his vision. It's going to be a reversal of his. Right? Did you reverse the words of love from Michael? I have no lungs in the fifth dimension. We don't express as guides on the fifth dimension. It's more like, in his vision, he says, that vision would be more like the free-for-all. Right? It's not. So I want to honor your hearts again. We're going to try and figure out what that one's trying to say. His vision is, I don't want to leave the vision. I'd like to be able to tell my story in a way that's more honoring of who I am. And my sister needs to know that I'm still there, loving her very much. I won't leave her side. When she passes, she's afraid to do that vision. She's afraid of the hearts that aren't going to be there, or those that will. And she doesn't want to create with anyone that has hurt her the way that she got hurt. So we will be honoring that vision of love. We will be honoring that vision of hate. Some people do carry that vision with them. And then they get their caretakers to kind of help them take off the anger. Okay? Race relations is not just the only thing we have issues with in this planet. Let's be thankful that we're all here creating this beautiful vision. Even if we can't appreciate the view of someone else, let's at least appreciate the diary of them. They came here and they shaped the nation, and many will shape the world. So let's honor that vision. I'm part of this vision of world, right? This is the nature of it. So as we look out in our nation's capital, let's remember that that capital was still part of all, right? I'm not trying to do a disservice to the nation's capital. What I'm trying to say is that we all have these visions that Thanksgiving is just about, here in America. But in essence, we could always send out those blessings to the nature of all, because in theory, it should be. We created a beautiful place for all of us, right? It's not about disparaging anybody's heart. It's about saying thanks for the gratitude, the gratitude for being alive, the gratitude for just staying in place. In most cases, we will be honored for that vision. Am I hurting my family tree? Right? By doing the work that I did. I apologize if it's not up to your standards. Okay? Or if you're hurt in your mind or your heart. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. But in essence, that's the nature of Thanksgiving, right? It's not about puffing up our chests and saying we're the best. It's about honoring those that we also hurt in order to get here. We give gratitude to those souls that still struggle as we celebrate. Okay, because there's a lot of people who are struggling this holiday season. And we want to honor your visions of loneliness or of despair. Some people are in the vision of despair. I don't want to be reminded of the loss. Okay, our hearts are coming through. You will be honored for your vision. Remember, they are not all there, but they are not all gone either. Okay? So the vision of love as our family members or friends or acquaintances or whoever that, have left this plane still believe in their mindsets, right? It's more like the energy signatures and vibrations that they inhabit, depending on where they go. They will open up the nature of discussion on that at another point in time. So the vibration of our planet is still in struggle, but overall, we will have the vision of love that will always carry us through. We will be honored to sit at your table and to say the prayers of love that come through for all souls. Whether they are for you or for another, it doesn't matter. We say our gratefulness has been passed down through the generations. As we honor those who suffer, we also give thanks for those of us that are not. Right? And we want to thank all souls for their hearts and minds as they contribute to the nature of all, thinking that we are all separate in our minds only. In our hearts we still beat together, one at a time. So take care. Open your hearts and minds to the nature of all. As we look upon the world stage and see those who are going to make an impact and those who will study hard, right? My children are going to rise high in my light. And I want to honor your hearts and minds as we give thanks to those children in our hearts that keep us lifted up, who struggle in our struggles, and who say, mothers and fathers, reunite with your loved ones wherever you may. Keep the vision of children mindful that we don't plant the seeds of rejection, of minor influence, right? We want to keep the children lifted up, please. Don't place them in this place as if it is all hopeless. Give them the hope that we do indeed pass through this vision of COVID in the next 3 to 6 months, right? It's going to take us a little longer, and we know that. So let's just honor that and remember we're in it for the long run. We're in it to win it. We will conquer this vision of COVID. We will conquer this vision of pandemic, and we will conquer the vision of love for only our own country. It will only be conquered when we open our hearts to it's the nation of all, basically. It's almost like that vision of all. Because, a nation is just a word. When you go to soul level understanding, there's no boundaries, okay, in the vision of, lines in the sand. So thank you again. Honor your hearts. Take care of your souls. And eat that lovely Thanksgiving turkey, by the way. Take care. Good night.